This is Astrolab 37. It's the tiniest version of Arturia's Astrolab platform yet, and it's aimed squarely at offering the same power as the original while occupying less than half the space in your studio. However, it does have me wondering, who exactly is this thing for? In this video, I want to give you an overview of its features, give you a taste of its sounds, and also attempt to give you an honest answer to that question. Before we start, please know that Arturia sent me Astrolab for review at no cost, but no money changed hands and they have no say in the contents of this video. This video does have a sponsor, the good folks at Analog Cases, but more on them a bit later. If you're already subscribed, huge welcome back, my friend. If this is your first time here, hi, welcome to the Midlight Synthesis. Let's get started. In case this is your first time running into the Astrolab, in a nutshell, it's sort of a physical version of Arturia's very popular Analog Lab instrument plugin software. I made a video of the original Astrolab if you want to go a bit more in depth, which I'll link below, but I feel that the main appeal here is that it offers a huge assortment of Analog Lab's vast library of sounds, including some truly lovely pianos, classic synth emulations, and even Pigment's presets, all while not having to be tethered to a computer, and also being able to function as a dedicated pre-mapped MIDI controller of Analog Lab itself. The original version sported 61 semi-weighted keys and was positioned to be a solution for gigging artists that wanted to take their Analog Lab presets out of their computers and on the road with them. The same holds true in the 37, though some sacrifices have been made in the name of portability. I was surprised to see that even though the space on the front panel is considerably smaller, Arturia were able to fit in pretty much all the same controls and buttons as the original. Besides the pitch bend, mod wheel, and octave buttons, there are 4 main macro knobs for brightness, timbre, time, and movement. Even though these parameter names may seem a bit odd for synthesizer veterans, they are a good catch-all way of giving you an idea of what each macro actually does to your sound. Brightness is usually a filter cutoff knob, and movement can affect an LFO to give a preset more vibrato, for example. They obviously aren't as good as having a dedicated cutoff, resonance, and ADSR envelope controls, but for someone who's mainly just looking to play presets and have a little more expressive control instead of doing straight up onboard sound design, these macros do a good enough job. The knobs also have shift functions for controlling volume and basic EQ. Below that, you get quick access to different categories of sound banks. Instead of the protruding screen module that acted as a jog wheel on Astrolab 61, here the screen sits flat on the surface and you navigate it with the push encoder and buttons below. To the right side of the panel, and again, just as in the original, you have an arpeggiator, chord, and playlist buttons, all with secondary shift functions for holding down notes, scale selection, and quick saving a preset. The remaining knobs give you direct access to 4 effects modules, which can be edited and turned on and off with their respective buttons. The only things really missing here from the original are the play and record buttons for the sequencer, the parts and split buttons to assign bitimbral patches, and the LED lights around the encoders, on top of the keybed, and mod wheel, indicating the state of each parameter for quick visual feedback. The Astrolab 37 comes with a slim key keybed with aftertouch, but no poly aftertouch, just in case you were wondering. I measured them against the Mini Freak, and at least in size, they seem to be exactly the same. Though for some reason, the Mini Freak seems a bit softer, but that might just be because I've had it for way longer and the keys do have their fair bit of mileage on them. As for connectivity, the 37 loses the 61's 2 auxiliary and expression pedal inputs, as well as switching out the stereo audio inputs for a single combo audio input with gain. The sustain pedal input and full 5-pin MIDI in and out ports are still here though, as well as the stereo audio outputs and dedicated headphone jack. Finally, there are USB-A and USB-C ports for communicating with a computer or compatible external devices, and a power input for the included power supply. However, being portable means nothing if you don't have something to carry it around with you. Thankfully, Analog Cases makes premium custom cases for your beloved synths and groove boxes. They offer a huge variety of options, both specifically made for certain devices, as well as modular and more flexible carrying backpacks, including one of my favorites, Sustain Case, which you can set up in a bunch of ways to fit in your particular setup. On their website, Analog Cases will be doing huge discounts on all their products for Black Friday and Christmas, so be sure to go check that out. When you use my code at the checkout, you can get a 10% discount, and your purchase helps support my channel. Thank you so much, Analog Cases, for supporting me and other creators like me. Now, back to the video. As far as actual sound goes, and just like on the original 61 key version, I feel it's important to mention that the sounds made by Astrolab are not pre-recorded samples or multi-samples of their Analog Lab counterparts. Astrolab uses Arturia's modeling technology to produce sounds on board, which makes a huge difference in quality of the output here, which is especially notable when you start tweaking those sounds. Also worth noting is that this little guy has up to 48 voices of polyphony, depending on the loaded preset, and it's 2 parts multitemporal, which can be set to either split or layered mode, which isn't very common in this size or price point category. Although that makes the Astrolab undeniably powerful, there is still very much a big but here in my opinion, which is that you can't actually set the keyboard splits or parts directly on the hardware. You need to do all of that in the computer first and then load them up into the machine. That kind of takes away from the computer-less experience, but it's still very similar to how you would make and save presets on the original Astrolab, since the onboard controls for sound design itself were always very performance-oriented and therefore limited. And now finally, we get to the bit that I think is bound to raise a bit of controversy, which is the pricing of the Astrolab. Just so you know, even though nowadays I struggle to respond to all the comments in my videos, I do read every single one of them. And I remember that one of the major sticking points on the original Astrolab was that lots of people found that for the price, they were just better off buying a nice MIDI keyboard and using Analog Lab software instead. Personally, I really like the format and computer-less nature of the original for a live gigging keyboard, and I've always thought that pricing is really in the eye of the beholder, so it didn't seem like much of an issue. The Astrolab 37 is a bit different though. It's aimed to be priced at $699 US, which places it in a particularly competitive segment of the synth market. If I try and think of other multi-temporal synths in that price point, I think of Waldorf Blofeld, Roland JDXi, Audio Thingi's Micro Monster 2, stuff like that comes to mind. Though objectively speaking, Astrolab does have the edge in maximum polyphony and sheer number and variety of different sound engines available, including being able to do studio quality pianos and strings. The elephant in the room, however, and I'm sure that more than one of you have already pointed it out in the comments section, is of course that for that price, you could very well just get Analog Lab software and a nice MIDI controller, of which, ironically, Arturia offers a wide variety of, and in that sense, it's kind of competing with itself. And to that I say, yeah, just using a MIDI controller and a computer is an absolutely valid alternative. The thing is, lots of people will do almost anything not to have a computer in their setup, and if you're one of those people, being able to have a physical Analog Labs module while not having to pay the 61 keys price tag might be something that you're looking for. I for one just really appreciate that we're so spoiled for choice right now, and as always, my aim here is not to influence you into buying something one way or the other, but to inform you of what's out there, and hopefully this reaches the person who needs it. Personally, the existence of the Astrolab in such a small format has made me think that maybe a desktop version without a keyboard and with more front panel parameter controls or maybe even envelope faders could be a really cool choice as a sound module for a DAW setup, but we'll see. What do you think of the Astrolab 37? Is Arturia on the right track here, or is this a miss? I'd love to continue this conversation in the comments below, so I'll meet you down there. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.